What's up, everybody? Trey Griggs here at Beta Consulting Group. I just remembered I didn't shut my door, so I'm about to go live, so we don't want the kids screaming here whenever we're live on the air. Episode 62 of Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. Chris, that's the max right there. 3 is all that I can juggle. I've always tried 4, but it really looks like I'm uncoordinated at that point. I never figured out 4. Certainly never got above that. So, but I could do that sometime. It would just, stuff would go crashing everywhere. 3 is the most that I can do on that. But welcome to the show, everybody. Very excited to have you guys with us today. We've had an incredible week of shows already this week. If you haven't seen some of the shows this week, be sure that you go back and check out some of the episodes. Had an awesome episode with Dr. Mark Manera of the Trucking Fitness Company on Monday. He's doing some great work with drivers. Just a blast to have him on the show. Yesterday, my good friend Coleman Ruffin. That was one of my favorite episodes. I love talking to that guy. He's so smart. Got my good friend Rob McCutcheon on today. We're going to talk about marketing here in just a little bit. Also tomorrow, my friend John Ratte at Redwood Logistics, the Chief Commercial Officer, we're going to talk about his journey through high growth startups. And then on Friday, my buddy Tyler Courier, my brother from another mother, he and I are very much alike. We both love to play golf and we play music, lead worship, all that kind of stuff. And he's a sales guy, one of the original sales guys at truckstop.com. So that's going to be a great show on Friday. Make sure you come back every day at 10:30 for an episode of Standing Out. Also want to give a shout out to my sponsor, TAFS. These are the good guys in freight factoring. They're helping drivers and asset-based companies with their cash flow and just making sure they have all the resources that they need to truly thrive in any market. Discounts on tires and fuels and small business loans and all kinds of just great products. And they're really all about educating drivers to make sure that they thrive and grow in any environment. So check them out at TAFS.com. Let them know that Trey sent you. There's also going to be a link in the show. You can click on that. That will take you directly to my landing page with them so they know that you came from us. There it is right there. So be sure you click on that to learn more and get started with them. If you're a freight broker, you can become a referral partner and make sure that your carriers have all the resources that they need to thrive and make sure they continue moving your freight. So just check them out, visit that link, see how they can help you out and get started with them today. With that in mind, I'm very excited to have one of my friends from TAFS on the show today. He is the director of marketing at Jacobson Holding, which is the company that owns TAFS. And he's a good friend of mine. I've been able to play golf, and I've learned a ton from this guy about marketing already, and I'm excited for him to talk about that today. So let's welcome to the show my good friend, Rob McCutcheon. Rob, what's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing, Trey?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great. We're
in the TAFS headquarters right there.
We're the logo we're sitting live from the spot that you've done a few.
I've done a couple podcasts from there.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's right. It's a good spot. You're not in Buffalo, so everybody's not confused. You're in the Buffalo Room.
Yes.
Which a lot of cool artwork in the headquarters there at TAFS in Olathe, Kansas, just outside of Kansas City. And just a great organization over there. So for some of those people who may not know who you are, or even a little bit about TAFS besides what I've shared with them, talk a little bit about who you are and what you do over there.
Yeah. So Rob McCutcheon, Director of Marketing. So we have Jacobson Holdings as in the trucking industry, transportation. We have a bunch of companies that are in the transportation market, including Trans Am Trucking and TAFS, obviously, with one of the big sponsorships here. And so I've been with this company for about 6 years. I was actually the first marketing person I kind of started the whole thing from scratch back in the marketing department back in 2016. So love my time here. It's a great company to work for. We're just excited for some really big things to come in the next few years here.
Yeah, the leadership over there is absolutely great. I've had a chance to meet with several on the leadership team, and just great guys, the right kind of guys you want to work with and do business with. And so a lot of good things that are happening over there, and kudos to all the success you guys have had. So it was 2016, because Trans Am and TAFS has been around for a little while, but it was 2016 that they said, we need to invest in marketing. What was kind of the thought process behind that? What did they have before that? And how did you tackle this, behemoth of how do I build marketing from the ground up?
Yeah, I mean, they've always done marketing, but they didn't have a person that was dedicated to, building the strategy for all the companies and all that type of stuff. And so, there just became a need at one point to say, hey, we're getting big enough, especially on the TAF side, to where we really need to start investing in the profitability that we have and making sure we're maximizing the money that we spend. And so one of the first things that you do whenever you come into a situation like that is you just really have to learn and evaluate just from a marketing perspective, just learning exactly what makes the company tick, what's the strengths of the company, what are the weaknesses. My first probably 4 to 5 months on the job was just simply evaluating every single department. Because one thing people always forget about marketing is you are not just marketing. You are the brand, and so you've got to make sure that the operations team is delivering on what it's supposed to be delivering on, because you want to make sure that what you're saying goes through the whole entire company. And so, it was a lot of work. We're finally to a spot now where it's getting really fun, because we're able to just kind of, really expand on all these partnerships and these programs. Obviously, programs like being on with you and being able to have partnerships throughout the industry that is, it's just been a huge growth. But it was really, really difficult at first to get going. But we've got the resources to do it. We have the leadership in place, and it's been just really fun.
Yeah, and I love what you said there about actually evaluating the different departments and putting it as a holistic approach, the whole company. A lot of times marketing kind of gets set off to the side and they kind of do their thing, but it doesn't permeate the culture. And I love the fact that you guys are building a brand and understanding that that brand needs to permeate every department, that the customer service team's got to come through with the same service that you're promoting. The sales team has to come through with the same, pitch that you're promoting. It all has to match up. And then once the messaging gets aligned, then it can be pretty powerful. But if those things don't happen, it's just kind of an exercise that doesn't garner a lot of weight or attention.
Yeah, one of the big things that we really focus on is client experience. And so being able to make sure that we put ourselves in the shoes of the client and be able to make sure that goes all the way through the organization, because, again, sales, it makes it a lot easier on a sales team. It makes it a lot easier on a marketing team, all these external departments, if everybody is on the same page. At the end of the day, like your whole entire organization has to be sales oriented. And so you have to understand the things that you're doing that impacts a client.
As they say, everybody's in sales, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's in sales in a company, because, whether it's bringing on a new customer or retaining an existing customer, everybody participates in that process. And marketing really is kind of the spear of that. When you think about marketing as, it's the messaging, it's the one-to-many approach to let people know who you are and to really build the brand and put it out there. It's got a unique place in the business, but it's so good. I love the fact that you guys are all about working together as a team, with your sales team, your marketing team, your operations, customer service, all that. It makes it much easier on the marketing team when they can have access, because a lot of marketing professionals don't have access to those teams, or they don't feel confident going to those teams and saying, tell me what you do, show me what you do, tell me how this works, and talk to customers. Is this lining up with what we say that we're promoting? All those things are really valuable from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things that we really put in place as well. Is, a lot of companies have siloed sales and marketing departments, and the companies that are the most successful are going to have sales and marketing teams that are just completely integrated in every possible way. Just something as simple as we bring in a lead from a marketing perspective, being able to make sure that that sales rep knows how that person came there, and be able to make sure that once they came in and say they filled out a form on our website, or they watched this podcast, or whatever it may be, we want to make sure that we are getting on the phone with them as quickly as possible, getting in contact with them as quickly as possible. And that's synergy between sales and marketing, is how can we get it from the marketing part to the sales part as quickly as possible, because the longer it takes, the lower your close rate is.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right about that. Providing the sales team with this information is really helpful, but it also goes the other way too. Like from a marketing perspective and a messaging perspective, who better to get your content from than your sales team? Because they're hearing the objections, they're hearing what worked and what didn't work. And if it worked for one client, there's a good chance it's going to work for other prospects. And if it didn't work for one client, there's a chance that messaging might not resonate with other people. So using the sales team also for your content, to me, is really valuable to do.
Absolutely. We have regular meetings with our sales managers and trying to make sure that we are covering the topics that people are out there asking. And again, it's really good for us. Part of the reason I love working here is, this client is only successful when we're successful, and we're only successful when the client is. And so it's synergy. So we want to do everything we possibly can to help them. And the same goes for all of our partners as well. And so any ambassador that is referring business to us, we want their business to succeed and grow as fast as they possibly can. And so we'll even do marketing training with anybody that signs on with us as an ambassador to help their business grow, because we just know it's a lot easier when all of us are on the same page and we have the same goals with that type of stuff.
Yeah, I love that. The fact that you guys are really about building a network. Talk for a minute about the value of strategic partnerships and really building a network, because I think a lot of times people feel they got to do everything on their own. And you guys have taken a different approach. You're like looking for people who are in the space that share the same values, share a similar culture, who can partner with you to expand that reach. Talk about the value of that and why you guys do that.
Yeah, so this is really a program that we have kind of, I would say 3 years ago, we really pushed hard, and we brought in Matt Innes to really head that program. But he has done a great job with that program as far as finding partnerships that are in trucking and finding people that are synergy like with us and have the ability to talk to a lot of carriers, talk to a lot of people in the industry. And really, at the end of the day, talking to people that have actually done it on the road. We have several partners where we have people that have actually built their own trucking companies from scratch. We actually, obviously, we have Trans Am Trucking under our umbrella, so we have a ton of resources from that perspective just to help trucking companies succeed. Same thing from dispatchers, from brokers, from insurance agencies. There's so many people that are in the trucking industry, and I know we have spoken about this before, but the carrier is the spoke right in the middle, and they have to use a ton of different services in order to be a successful trucking company. And so we know that if we can help connect them to all these different spokes and the people that we trust and we know, I think it's going to help them. It's also going to help us. And so a partnership in our eyes has to be beneficial for everyone. And so we are really pushing to have other companies in this industry that want to help trucking companies go as far as they possibly can. And when we do that, we help each other and we help the carrier. And so
yeah, it's
just a win-win-win.
Absolutely. I mean, it's no different like what Nike does with their athletes. When you partner with a brand ambassador, an influencer, whatever, you're getting the benefit of the audience that person has created. That's why Nike pays LeBron James a lot of money, or paid Michael Jordan a lot of money. He still does, actually. The guy makes more money in shoes now than he did when he was a player, which is crazy. But it's no different really than that. You're partnering with people that, again, like you said, have the same synergy and are able to reach into an audience or a network that maybe you don't have, that in order to push those products or bring awareness to your company, what you guys are doing. It's no different than what Nike does.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, every single big company that you've ever had an interaction with has strategic partnerships when it comes to it at the end of the day, especially like a company like Nike. I mean, look at how many outlets sell their things. They have to have a great relationship with all those people. And, same thing, logistics industry. How do you think Nike gets their shoes to all those places? It's in the shipping industry. And so it literally touches every aspect of our society. And it's like I say, we call it a noble profession here because we know that it is essential to me and you just living our normal 100%. Everyday life.
Yep.
And so we know what it takes to do it. There's a lot of people that can't do it. There's a lot of people that don't have the ability to kind of live their life on the road. And so we understand that that's how it's like. And so we talk about it all the time. How can we come up with ways to, get with the carrier and make their life a little easier because it's not easy out there. And so how can we make their life a little easier? How can we make a partnership that comes to them, get them lower prices on this, lower prices on that, find them better freight, get them a better insurance quote, get them some tires. I mean, there's a million things that we are involved with that we try to do to help them.
Yeah, no, and I just realized that I'm wearing a Nike shirt. So, contrary to popular belief, this show is not being sponsored by Nike. Everybody, in case you're wondering,
But
but
if they're open to it, yeah.
but if they're open to it, hey, you know what? Give us a call. I'd be happy to do that. Chris Horton says it's always good to build partnerships that last. I think that's so true. To find people who are the kind of people you want to hang out with, the kind of people you want to do business with, the kind of people you want to go play golf with. I know I've had a chance to play with you and Matt, and I'm sure there'll be more rounds of that in the future. But what I love about what you're doing at TAFS, which is different, is that you guys are really educating carriers on what's going on. You're educating them on what they're getting into, the contract that they're signing, what all you offer, how simple you're making it, what they need to succeed, because you guys truly believe that the only way that you grow is if they grow. And that's one reason why I love partnering with you guys, is because I love that mission. I'm a former teacher, a youth pastor. And so education and helping people, live a better life, to me, is what it's really all about. So I love the fact that that's a part of your mission. I know you guys have up in the office, it says, I think it says trucking is a noble profession and truck drivers are noble people, or maybe I got that backwards. But
that's correct. Yeah, you nailed it.
Hey, nailed it. Look at that. Got it. But I think the recognition of truck drivers and what they do is so critical. Just to be appreciative and thankful, like you said, for all those things they bring us. I mean, everything in my house, everything in your house, that showed up on a truck. More than likely, at some point, it made its way on a truck. At some point,
probably
so,
many trucks,
exactly, along the way. So I think it's really, really cool what you guys are doing. To jump back into the kind of the marketing side of things really quickly, what are some things that you guys do that you found to be really successful from a marketing perspective, with the goal of really getting your brand out there, of people becoming aware of who you are and driving traffic to the websites that you have and the different platforms that you have for conversion? What are some things that have really been successful for you guys?
Yeah, so one of the big things that we've really hit a big focus on is SEO, and you kind of hit on the content piece of things right there. Search engine optimization has been a really big piece of it. I mean, the first thing with a lot of companies from a marketing perspective is you got to understand the people you're marketing to, and how do they find, if they're looking for a factoring company, what do they do? And so one of the things that we've really hit on is, well, they're a business, and we're a business to business type of company, but these guys are small businesses, and most of the time whenever they're first getting into the industry, and so they shop like a customer. They don't shop necessarily like a business. And so we've kind of got several different angles that we use that we've really, really hit on. And obviously when you're shopping like a customer, where do you think they go? Google. They go to the main search engine type stuff. And we just want to really hit them as many places as we can when it comes to writing content that's going to help them, or just simply answer a question, even if it has nothing to do with our business at all. We just know that it's going to help them in the industry. So, for example, we will publish articles about how to start a trucking company. What do you need to do? What are some of the checklist things that you need to do in order to get going? How do you find better paying freight? How do you negotiate? There are so many things that you can do, because we understand the whole path of a person in the trucking industry. Maybe they start as a truck driver, and they work for a company, and then they say, all right, you know what, I want to go out on my own at some point. And, once you go out on your own, it presents a whole nother amount of problems that you have to be able to solve in running a business and not just driving a truck. And so anything that we can do to answer those questions, and understanding, obviously, without getting into the data geek side of things here, but we also have to understand what people are putting in those search engines, and we really have to make sure that our SEO is on point. And so we put a significant amount of resources into that, as well as the partnership side of things. And so again, somebody always wants to hear, who do you recommend, if you're going out for another company that's out there. And we have tons of people that we recommend because we know we've worked with them. And so it's always better to hear from a third party how good someone is, than hearing it straight from their own mouth.
And so, that's 100% true. Yeah, having other people sell your services is way better than you selling it yourself.
Exactly. And we can say we're great all day long, but it's a lot more meaningful when it comes from third parties. And the same thing, you build trust whenever you put out an article that's talking about, how to get a TWIC card to get into the ports and get and deliver stuff. That has nothing to do with factoring, but at the same time, we know that they're going to come to our website and they're going to look at us as a as an authority and being able to understand, how the whole business works. And so that's kind of the stance that we want to put out there is we want to be educators, and we want to be able to have the back of the companies that we're working with.
Yeah, and I think customers appreciate when you provide value outside of what you're selling. When you provide value for them that's going to help them in their job. Going back to knowing your audience, that's so critical to know your audience. What are some ways outside of, I know you say you look at, data around what people are searching for, but what are some other ways that you guys have researched your audience and what they're really, looking for, or the language they're using, or the things that they're interested in? What are some ways that you've done that?
Well, I mean, the biggest advantage we have is just the simple fact that we have Trans Am Trucking, which is right next door. And so we can talk to drivers, we can talk to dispatchers, we can talk to people that are driver managers anytime we want. And there's a ton of knowledge for Trans Am Trucking has been doing this since the 80s. And so they've literally seen it from back in the days when there actually used to be a load board where it was just on the truck stop. And
right. Oh, yeah. The old DAT board double truck.
So we have tons of resources when it comes to talking to drivers, but at the same time, we also have tons of resources when it comes to talking to our own clients when it comes to that perspective. So really digging in on, okay, well, what are the problems? How is your day going? Just asking the right questions from our team's perspective. And then at the same time, talking to our ambassadors, talking to our partners, because they're going to see a whole different side of things. And so we know talking to an insurance agent, you're going to see a whole different level of problems from the truckers on that side. Whereas if you're going to talk to a dispatcher, they're going to have a whole different set of things. And so really just having people in our company that are extremely knowledgeable, that are talking to people all the time and are able to get that knowledge and data over to our team. And then we figure out how to make that into something that we can distribute. And so really digging in from as many aspects as we possibly can.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. And having the resources close by is so helpful. It reminds me of, there's a pastor out in Southern California, Rick Warren, who started Saddleback Church. But the first 6 months of his pastorship, he didn't really pastor anybody. He had a little small group. He went door to door in Southern California and just asked people questions. What was your church experience like? What was good? What was bad? What's your greatest need, in life? And he just took all these notes, and then he marketed his church based upon what people needed spiritually. And it worked, right? I mean, it was like a really smart way to market that out. And I don't think that people understand the value of taking that time to do the research. When you start a marketing program, sometimes people just want to just jump right in and start, creating content. But really trying to understand the audience better is so critical when it comes to creating marketing strategy. And you guys have done a really good job of that. So I love the fact you've done that.
Yeah. And, I think that's one huge piece of it is understanding the audience. And then the other part of it is understanding yourself. And so one of the things a lot of people always forget is, well, it's great that you jump in social media and do all these things on the social media aspect, but it is so much bigger than just that. And so you've really got to build a program when you're talking about marketing from understanding your business first, understanding, well, what makes you unique? Why should somebody choose you over all the other competitors that are out there, and be able to set yourself apart from those people? And so building that entire program, and then you've got to understand the actual carrier, what they need. There's several things that just from a marketing perspective that we've been able to put in place for our operational team because we understand this is what they need. So, the reason our company is open 365 days a year is because we talk to the people on the Trans Am side and say, hey, what kind of are the shifts that you have teams work? Do you guys keep them on till 8 p.m., 9 p.m.? What do you do? They said 24/7. We're literally have somebody in this building available 24/7. And that's what trucking is. And so it's simple things like that. Well, we need to be open every single day if the truck driver is driving every single day. And so
right.
Putting things in place for the whole company.
Yeah, they need something, small business loan or whatever. They might need it that day.
Exactly. And so we've got to do all these different things in order to make sure that we're meeting the audience where it is. And again, research does no good if it's just staying in the marketing department or just staying in the sales department or whatever it may be. But we've got to understand our business. We've got to put things in place. And so that becomes an actual selling point at the end of the day that, hey, we're available this many hours a day and this many days a year because other companies are not. And that sets you apart from another company. So it's partly understanding your own business and what can you make your business be better at than the rest of the competition that's out there. And then the other aspect of it is, from a marketing perspective, is understanding that it's never just one thing, it's everything. You have to make sure that your ambassador team message is the same team as your SEO message versus your content versus your social media versus email marketing or actual hard mail that people still do that amazingly. And, and so you've got all these things from a marketing perspective that are going out, and you really have to make sure that all of them are working together to do the same thing. And so that's one of the first things we tell a lot of our ambassadors when we're doing marketing training is understand your business first, and then understand your target audience. And then once you've got those two things set, then you can really do a marketing plan, because those two things are critical before you can really go get after it.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm getting mailers right now asking if I want to sell my house. That's kind of still a thing in the market. People are still realtors are doing that. But yeah, there's a definite yin and yang between knowing what your customers need, what they want, what they're going to respond to, and then figuring out how you can truly stand out, how you can separate yourself from the rest and position yourself in their minds. Because marketing is really about manipulation is a terrible word I think sometimes people use, but it really is kind of about manipulating the thoughts that people have in their mind to help them, move towards you in a way, maybe away from another company based upon what really helps you stand out. Like what is really a differentiator, what's going to help them make their life better. And so knowing those things is really critical. If you don't know those things, you're guessing. And you might guess right, but more than likely you're probably not going to. So it's best to take the time, do the research, ask the questions, understand that, and then figure out how you can truly set yourself apart, which is really, really beneficial. All right, brother. Hey, listen, we're 27 minutes. I'm telling you, this thing always flies by every day. It's unbelievable. It's great having you on the show. How's the golf game? You've been playing much?
I'm rather at watching the PGA Championship than actually playing. So, I've got a couple rounds in, but not pretty so far. We'll get that midsummer form coming in.
Yeah, no, it was the PGA Championship was crazy. It was so much fun to watch, but those guys are just so incredibly good. But yeah, it's early in the year, but we'll have to get together and play again soon. It'll be good to get back over and see you guys and do that real soon, which will be a lot of fun. Well, need to have you back on the program. It'd be great. Thank you guys for your partnership. Absolutely love what you guys are doing. And thank you for your support of what I'm doing here with Standing Out, Word on the Street. I look forward to getting you guys on that program as well. And for everybody that's watching, make sure you come back tomorrow for another great episode. Very excited about having, my good friend, John Ratte from Redwood Logistics on the show. It's going to be great. We're talking about hyper growth and some of the things that he's done at P44 and now at Redwood Logistics. And then we'll be back on Friday for another episode as well. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate that. Rob, appreciate you having me on the show, man. And we'll talk to everybody really soon. Take care out there. Have a great day.
All right. Have a good one.